The Big 12, the Big 12, the Big 12. Now the Big 12, was like Charlie and Charlie Chocolate Factory had the golden ticket, captive audience, very few other games on, great opportunity in front of a big audience here, make an impression, prove that the Big 12 is a quality Power 5 conference. And what did they do? What did the Big 12 do? They choked. They choked because they allowed, now again, as someone who loves small school football, loves watching mid-major football, all about that Tuesday night action, they lost 3 games to Sunbelt teams. Now, it's not the best of looks here, especially for a conference that has become a joke of late, because, obviously it's OU with everybody else just by recent success, and who's won like 5-6 straight Big 12 championships with little competition. And looking at what I saw last Saturday, it's looking to be that way again, because the Big 12, in an article I wrote, the Big 12's big problem that should be on the site, they had 3 11 a.m. games. So 3 opportunities right off the bat showed Big 12 dominance. You had West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, you had Iowa State and Louisiana, and you had Kansas State, Arkansas State. Now, West Virginia did handle their business, but 23rd ranked Iowa State lost at home 31-14. They were shut out in the second half 21-0. It was 14-10 at the half for Iowa State. Now, I don't know what Matt Campbell said in the locker room. I advise he never say it again, because whatever it was, it did not work, because his team was dominated. The offense was terrible. Brock Purdy, one of the better quarterbacks in the conference here, under 200 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns. The defense could not tackle a soul. The special teams unit allowed a couple of scores. I know one was brought back. It honestly was just embarrassing. It really was just embarrassing. They even let Louisiana score a garbage time touchdown late. Just overall embarrassing. Now, I know you can say, well, in the past, Iowa State struggled in the season openers. I know they lost Northern Iowa a couple of years ago. Yes, that is a very true fact. And yes, you could say it's the same thing. But never have they been beaten this bad, I do believe, in a season opener under Matt Campbell. So, not a good look. Now, for Louisiana here, this is a huge win on many fronts. Now, if you don't know about the Louisiana program, let me give you a brief background here. They are coming off an 11-3 season under head coach Billy Napier in his second season. In his 2 years there, the first year he went 7-7. They had back-to-back conference championship appearances, losing both games to Appalachian State. There is no shame in that. Appalachian State is again among one of the better programs in a group of 5. They had 4 straight 9-1 seasons from 2011 to 2014, and they have a very solid backfield of Elijah Mitchell and Trey Regis, who combined for 1,967 yards and 27 touchdowns a season ago. Now, the win Saturday was Louisiana's first road win over an AP top 25 team in school history, and their second ever win over a ranked team as they entered 1-32. Now, if you recall, they gave OSU a game briefly that one year when they still had, I believe, was it Ricky Bussell as head coach. They gave him a game at home very, very briefly. And then last season, they actually only had a 10-point loss to Mississippi State on the road in the season opener. And then they played Florida fairly close. And they only lost that game off a blocked punt return for a touchdown with like 3 seconds left. So they have played some teams close there. So okay, so you might say to yourself, nah, that's just one game. It's Iowa State. It started off slow. Okay, the third Big 12 game on at 11 o'clock was Kansas State, Arkansas State. Now Kansas State, Chris Kleiman had a solid first season replacing legend Bill Snyder. Are you thinking, you know what, this is a winnable game? He's going to get off to a good start. They're one of the few teams that had some fans there. So, you're figuring you're going to come in there. You got a senior quarterback in Skylar Thompson. You're going to get the job done. Not the case. Not the case, because Arkansas State came in there, and to me, from what I saw, I watched the majority of the second half. The score does not tell the full story, as Kansas State lost that game 35-31, but Arkansas State completely dominated at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, out-rushing Kansas State 159-91, and averaged 4.8 yards per carry to 2.3 yards per carry. So you figure every 2 runs was nearly a first down. That is not a good look. That's not a good look at all. Now, making matters worse, Kansas State was outgained 489 to 374, out first down 26-21, and held Kansas State to 1 of 11 on third down. So that right there is a downright disgrace. You converted 1 first down in 4 quarters against and supposedly inferior competition. Now, you followed Arkansas State here. Okay, you know this is very, very solid program. They had currently running a 9 straight winning season streak with 4 different head coaches. So a lot of people are getting the job done there. Hugh Freeze, I believe, was the one that got it turned around. Then you had Gus Malzahn there. So it's a very solid program. Now, they are led by Blake Anderson. He was the offensive coordinator for a time at North Carolina under then head coach Larry Fedora. Now, if you recall, last season he lost his wife Cindy, I believe, to breast cancer before the Georgia game. His team did rally around him. They made it to a bowl and they won the bowl. He has made a bowl all 7 seasons he has been there, and has even won the conference twice. Now, making matters worse here for Kansas State is the fact that not only, where they lost, they outrushed, they outgained, out first down, off on third down, then they're going to use the excuse that they have 4 new offensive line starters. Okay, so even if we factor that in, we give them a pass on that, what about the defense? It does not explain why you were dominated defensively to the tune of almost 5 yards a carry. Then, on top of that, Arkansas State senior receiver Jonathan Adams Jr. put himself on the map as the 6'3", 220-pounder had 8 catches for 98 yards and 3 touchdowns and was not double-teamed a single time. Now, you tell me, if you think this man is single-handedly killing you in the pass game, and your corners cannot stop him, why you don't attempt to at least put a safety over the top, double team him, do something? But instead, it was one-on-one every time. And Arkansas State quarterbacks Lane Hatcher and Logan Bonner tore them apart. Now, both of these guys are really solid quarterbacks. It's very rare that you see 2 quarterbacks that are both starting caliber stay and not transfer out. Last season, those 2 combined for 37 touchdowns to only 11 interceptions. It was just bad. It was bad. It was bad. Kansas State, I don't know. Chris Kleiman there. I didn't understand the move he had replacing Skylar Thompson with true freshman Will Howard in the middle of a drive for no reason. Now, I give Will Howard credit. The man came in there, did a very solid job. I think he threw a 20-yard dart on his first career pass. But it just didn't make any sense. The offense is rolling. You just got a first down and you just throw Howard in there for no apparent reason. I don't like that move. To me, if it was one of those, it was a short yardage thing, or it was the start of a brand new drive, and you wanted to go ahead and do that, okay, fine by me. But I just it didn't cost him the game, but to me it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. With the win, this was Arkansas State's first win over a Power 5 in 12 years. Now, the saving grace, the only way the Big 12 could salvage this is if Kansas, as if conference doormat Kansas is able to avenge their loss to Coastal Carolina from last season, 12-7 at home. They were able to avenge that, at least, finish 1-2 against some of those teams. And depending on Kansas, you might as well just go ahead and fold, because that's what happened, as Kansas found themselves at one point down 28-0 and 38-23 loss to Coastal Carolina in a game that they were thoroughly dominated. It honestly, if you were watching that live, you were like me, all you could do was just shake your head, and because it was so bad. It was so bad. I mean, you're talking about sending a message. Coastal Carolina, they came in there and they really sent a message. They proved last year was no fluke again, jumping out to a 28-0 lead. They held Kansas to 4 of 11 on third down, sacked them 5 times, while Kansas failed to register a single sack. I will say Kansas didn't think it was possible, but it got worse. I really didn't think, you would think year 2 on Les Miles, you would have some improvement. Last year they kind of had that, and I hate to use the word marquee, but the marquee win over Boston College. And then there was the lone win over a team that even made a bowl game. I think Boston College finished like 6-7 last year. Yeah, it just isn't there. The passing game is worse. They obviously lost Carter Stanley to graduation. They started Thomas McVitie, a JUCO former Pitt quarterback. It was not impressive to say the least. That's putting it kindly. Now I think they might have something here in Miles Kendricks. He was a JUCO last year. More of a runner. They started him in the second half. The offense did have a spark because they scored 20 points in the second half, because they were down at the half 28-3. But again, when you're down by 25 points and your Kansas here, it's probably not going to end in your favor. But again, have to give credit where credit is due here to Coastal. You're talking about a team here primed for a breakout season, coming off back-to-back 5-7 seasons. Could easily have made a bowl the past 2 years. They have 4 losses of 7 points or less. So, it's not as bad of a team as it might seem. They have a solid defense led by linebacker Teddy Gallagher, and a freak of nature at defensive tackle in 6'4", 315-pound sophomore Gerard Clark. He's a former tight end, lived in the Kansas backfield all day long. Really stifled Kansas ground game, gave Pooka Williams a tough out. Really gave him a tough out, and it says something if you're Kansas and you're getting dominated up front. And again, there's no disrespect to Coastal Carolina, again, a very solid team, but it's just a bad look if you're getting dominated up front by Sun Belt team. That's just not the look you want, not the confidence that I'm sure Les Miles wanted to instill in the team and the fan base. And then Coastal Carolina also has a very solid looking prospect out there at tight end is 6'4", 245. Isaiah Likely had 32 catches, 431 yards, and 5 touchdowns. The one final note on that game, I do want to give a shout out here to former Moore High standout Daniel Deuce Highsaw Jr. got his first career carry, I believe, late second quarter in the third. I was proud to see that. That's couldn't tell you the last time Moore High had a D1 guy. Obviously, Southmore has had Kendall Thompson, Julian Wilson, Austin Haywood. They have one of the better kickers in the country currently, and then obviously with Westmore, you have Bray Wyatt playing for OU. So it was good to see somebody from Moore High get in a D1 game. But I do remember Spencer Tillman on commentary saying Les Miles very high on Mr. Highshaw. So I'm looking forward to seeing his future career there at Kansas. Hopefully they get a line in there to block for the man, but I do believe he will have a nice career. Then finally, I think to add salt to the wound, other Big 12 here was Texas Tech. Now, Texas Tech did win their game. Now, that is where the positives end, okay? Because they were pushed to the brink by FCS foe Houston Baptist, 35-33. As a matter of fact, Houston Baptist was a 2-point conversion away from possibly sending the game to overtime. Houston Baptist outscored Texas Tech 23-14 in the second half. Texas Tech allowed a team that lost to 4-8 North Texas, who also lost record-setting quarterback and Locust Grove native Mason Fine, 57-31 last week. They allowed that same team that also only won 5 games last year, only 2 in the Southland, to roll up 600 yards of offense, including 572 from quarterback Bailey Zapp, who is playing immaculate football right now, by the way. I mean, he had like 470 something against North Texas as well. It seems like this is a guy you might want to keep an eye on. Now, I don't know if he can keep this up, but his first 2 starts this season is just lighting it up. Texas Tech also allowed 300-yard receivers, including 209 and 2 touchdowns to Josh Stearns on just 5 catches for an average of 41.8 yards per catch. Also allowed 3 touchdowns of 60 or more yards. Now again, this is a Texas Tech program that I feel like is going south really fast. Now I think this all started a couple of years ago, but last year when they fired Cliff, the man, they kind of did the man dirty. Okay, if you go back to the Cliff era here, he had several seasons where he just had bad breaks in close games. If you recall, this is the man that did produce Pat Mahomes. I think they know what he's doing. So much so that he got an NFL job shortly after getting fired. Okay, so you fire Cliff, much to the anger of the fan base, and then you bring in Matt Wells. Now again, no disrespect here to Matt Wells, did a very good job at Utah State. Turned Jordan Love from an unknown into a first-round draft pick. But when you fire Cliff, was popular with the fan base, is a Texas Tech, one of the better quarterbacks in school history, and you replace it with Matt Wells, was not the best. I just know, I just sing it on Twitter and whatnot. The fans are not happy. Then you go out and you do worse than Cliff did at 4-8 and lost to Kansas. So to me, you even took a step back at that front. Then year 2 under the man, and you barely beat a 5-win FCS program that's only been playing football for roughly 7 years. So I just wonder how hot is Matt Wells' seat. I mean, I doubt he gets fired this year, but you really have to wonder here if things don't pick up what's going to happen down there in Lubbock. Now,